Leon S. Kennedy. Shoot them in the head.
Resident Evil.
Hello YouTube Nation, Brian Redgrave here once more, and today I want to talk about Resident Evil Degeneration, which is a movie from 2008, which I decided to rewatch after a few years and all this Resident Evil playing. If my memory serves me correct, the last time I watched this movie before now was probably around 2012, which is when Resident Evil Damnation came out, and I had decided to rewatch this, if my memory serves me well there. So, after what? Almost 8 years, I watched it again after playing Resident Evil 3, and I'm currently playing Revelations. I did Mercenaries in 6 with Castle earlier, so was the movie as good as I remember it being, or is it not as good as I remember it being? Well, the truth is, it was even better than I remember it being. I remember really liking the movie and enjoying the movie, but seeing it now, I'll even appreciate it more than I did back then for a few reasons, and one of those reasons is the Resident Evil 2 remake. Yes, I've played the original. Many of you have. I'm sure of it. But having played the remake last year and all that being so fresh in my head versus having have not played the game for many years in the original, the movie feels really like a nod to that game itself in its entirety. In watching the whole movie now, yes, this movie is for Resident Evil fans. Yes, if you're not a Resident Evil fan, you more than likely will not like this movie. That's the reality. But not just Resident Evil fans, Resident Evil 2 fans. Now, if you just only played the original or have only played the remake, either or, you're really gonna appreciate this movie. But because of the nods, for one of the best parts of the movie is it stars Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, which are the two protagonists of Resident Evil 2. That alone is amazing. And if you go back in time to when this movie actually came out versus, where we are now with the franchise, it was the first time we've seen them together since Resident Evil 2. And this Leon, it will be after Resident Evil 4. And Claire is before the Revelation 2 game came out, so it would be after Code Veronica for her. So it's a nice movie that packs all that in, reconnecting these two characters, as even a nod to Chris Redfield, not by name, but they say Claire's brother, you know who that is. And the movie itself is non-stop action. Literally, the movie just starts, and within 5 minutes, you have zombie killing. A lot of zombie killing in this movie, and that is amazing. The only place where this movie kind of falters a little bit, in my opinion, it's in the animation. You can tell the movie's old at this point. The movie is 12 years old, and it shows in its animation, the way it looks. It's okay, but it really isn't that great, especially considering how great Resident Evil Vendetta, which is only 3 years old, looks in comparison. But the movie still holds up in the action department. Maybe not so much looking wise, but in the action, it definitely holds. Literally, within the first 5 minutes, you have all this action happening, and it just keeps on happening and happening and happening. Then you hit the halfway point of the movie, you get some exposition, some answers to questions or more questions, and then the movie enters essentially its second half, and it just goes bunkers and crazy with some action again versus Curtis. Curtis is Angela's brother. Angela is new to the movie, not new to the franchise, and he's Angela's brother. Sorry, and essentially he injects himself with the G virus again. Another nod to Resident Evil 2, and the way it works, how convenient. Claire and Leon are the ones there dealing with the G virus again, and again it ends in a lab, and again it all ends in destruction. It's just crazy. You even have two cutscenes that are essentially, obviously, in the movie's graphics, nods to the events of Resident Evil 2. And again, if you go back in time before the remake of 2, and that was amazing. And now, if you watch it after the remake of 2, guess what? It's still amazing. It's an amazing nod. And the fight with Curtis when he's injected with the G virus is a fantastic fight, if you ask me. And Curtis' reasons for doing all this is actually pretty, crazy. And you can somewhat understand where he's coming from. Granted, I don't know if I would inject myself with the G virus, but essentially, his wife and child were in Raccoon City when it was blown up, and they were killed. And then the whole cover up happened, so nobody really know what happened in Raccoon City, and it angers him to take down anybody responsible who hid and cover everything up. So for that, definitely as the movie's villain, essentially, not the main. Well, he's the main villain fighting wise, but not the one behind pulling the strings. But definitely as that villain, he is very good in the role because there's nothing better than a character that you can understand. He did this for what happened. He sacrificed his body to show everybody the G virus and what they covered up in Raccoon City. The movie has a lot to do with Raccoon City, despite taking place 7 years after the events of Resident Evil 2. And that's what I really like about this movie versus, let's say, the live action movies. Unlike the live action movies where they're really their own thing, which only taking things from the game, this movie and the other two follow ups take place in the same universe as the game. And that's something I really love about this movie and the other two. It's fantastic. Maybe you don't get a game, but you get this movie to fill in some blanks. And I really like how it has Claire because back then, before Revelations 2 came out, the last time we seen Claire was in Code Veronica. And Leon in Resident Evil 4, this was before Resident Evil 6 in the case of Leon. So it was all well and good. Overall, I really enjoyed and liked the movie now more than I did all that time ago. So, what am I giving the movie? What is the movie's final verdict? Take a guess. Guess it. It's a 9 out of 10. Sorry, but that is my opinion. I know some people tend to blast these movies. I really like it as a Resident Evil fan. I think if you're a hardcore Resident Evil fan, you'll like it. Good action. There's nothing wrong with the pacing. It's all action and some exposition in the middle. I think it's just perfect when it comes to that. The character's perfect. Leon, Claire, Angela, and Curtis is also good and has a good reason to hate these people and do what he wants to do. Would I do it? Probably not. But from the eyes of the movie, it makes sense and you can understand them. So the movie gets a 9 out of 10. That is my opinion. Let me know if you agree in the comments. If you like, give it a like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, 100 subscribers, I do a giveaway. Red Grave out. Peace.